in spite of the rain. I know that you're all glued to your news sources of choice, Facebook.com, to try to figure out what's going on in Albany. But you're here for CannaGather, so thank you for that. A couple quick venue rules. No cannabis consumption, no smoking or vaping of anything, please. And then make sure to throw away your trash and recycle, depending on what it is. Quick show of hands. Who's first time at CannaGather? Great. Thank you all for coming out. Round of applause. Thank you. And who's been here before? I've been here once or twice. Got it. Okay, nice, good, like 50-50. As you'll see, that's sort of how I do my math, is based on hand raises, not based on data. But the data is the hand raises, so it's sort of a form of data. Basically, that's what's going on. We're missing a slide. So usually I ask who's an entrepreneur and who's an investor, so I guess I'll just do that now. Who's an entrepreneur in the space or looking to break into the space? Okay, the sign counts as one hand. Got it. Who's an investor? Show of hands, investors. The one and only Gene Sullivan is in the house tonight. So yeah, basically this is sort of the composition of who's in the audience. It's mostly people who are in or looking to break into the industry, along with a handful of investors, some who are actively deploying capital in this space, and some who are just sort of trying to get a sense of what's going on. So this is a pretty fun exercise that I like to do. Just take a minute and chat with the person next to you, see what they're up to, and form a lifelong friendship. So if you were here last month, you met Sally Nichols. Sally was awesome. She's part of Bloom Farms, president. They just launched their CBD line. And if you're interested in hearing from Sally, I think the people who are in the audience would agree she was one of the best speakers that we've had so far. And we've been doing this for a long time, 5.5 years, so that's saying something, I would say. So be sure to check it out online. You go to CannaGather.com/May 2019. All of our past events are recorded and then broadcasted by those guys over there. What's up, Dave? Completely for free. So I'm not even trying to sell you something. Educating. So usually we have a host committee. Host committee is people who buy a pack of 4 tickets. You get goodies from people like Craig from Your CBD Oils, or Jenny from Jenny's Baked at Home. So you would have, had you purchased a VIP 4-pack, you would be not just getting 4 tickets, you would also be getting some olive oil from Jenny. And you also get a shout out, but for some reason, we've never had this before, no one has purchased one. So I just want to thank all of you. So round of applause. Round of applause. Definite shout out to everyone on the CannaGather team, without whom this definitely could not be possible. People like Thomas who've been working with us along with David for like 2, maybe 3 years. David 3 years, Thomas 2 years. So and then some of the newer folks like Rick and Alex and Daniel. So and obviously Phil. So round of applause for everyone on the team. Not to leave out Natalia, who you all met on the way in. If you didn't know, if you haven't been here before, we have an after party as well. You're not obligated to join, but we encourage you to join. We have free pizzas and discounted drinks. People generally enjoy it, so I'd recommend it. We didn't do name tags this time around, and make sure to get your tickets, early bird tickets, at CannaGather.com/July 2019. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but discounted pricing for the early bird, so you should probably get like at least 10 tickets right now. That's my recommendation. So going into sponsors, and if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, definitely let me know. We'll hear from AIU Longevity. Jim is here. He's our keynote speaker. Round of applause for Jim for coming out and sponsoring. great blog post with Daniel. And as always, Cole Shots to kick us off. Who from Cole Shots will do the honors? Mark is going to come up. As you all know, Cole Shots has been a longtime partner of ours, and they're stuck with us till at least the end of this year and hopefully beyond. So great. I'm trying my best.
Right. Anyway, geez, I mean, I would have thought being here today, we were talking about how New Jersey's gone adult usage and New York maybe's close. We'll find out. I'm not going to try to predict. But we're expanding the medical program there, and we have a number of clients. We're all set to file applications on their behalf. It'll be interesting to see where New York goes, and much of, I think, where this industry is going to go locally is obviously tied to what's going to happen in the next day or so. So fingers crossed, I guess, but to the extent that you have needs in this industry, we can help address those for you from startup through, late stage capital raises and sales to larger MSOs who we've done a number of deals with over the past year or so. Anyway, Josh, good work, man. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Thank you, Cole Shots. We have a very special guest all the way from Colorado, Amy from the NCIA, the National Cannabis Industry Association, of which we are a proud member. Usually I wear a NCIA pin, but we got our own pin, so maybe I'll just wear both of them at the same time. I actually always have an NCIA pin in my bag, should the occasion arise. So very proud members of the NCIA, and thank you, Amy, for all that you do.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here tonight this is my home state, so it's nice to be back. My name is Amy Rose. I am our partnerships manager at the National Cannabis Industry Association. We're the largest national trade association representing the cannabis industry on the federal level. So we focus on issues like banking and 280E. We are a member-based trade association, so we have local events. We have one in New York next week, and then we also have trade shows all throughout the country. So if you're interested in learning more, come find me. I have a table in the back. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you, Amy. The next trade show is July 22nd in San Jose. July 22nd through the 24th. I will definitely be there, and I hope you all will join me. NCIA is awesome. You should definitely get involved. So thank you, Amy. NP Medical Cannabis. We have a new sponsor coming up. Thank you for coming out. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So my name is Nikita LaValle. We are located in Midtown Manhattan. We utilize telemedicine 7 days a week. With telemedicine, we're able to go and provide the whole evaluation right over the phone. It takes about 20-25 minutes. Right now, New York State has over 28 dispensaries. Once you're done speaking with one of my nurse practitioners, you can literally go right to the dispensary. So my question to all of you is legally protect yourself. Why don't you have your card? Who here has their medical card? How do you like the program? The more people we get going into dispensaries, that's when the prices are going to start dropping. Everyone, get your medical card. We'll help you out. All right. There's a discount, mention CannaGather, and we will take $50 off for everyone who applies.
Cool.
All right?
Thank you. That's awesome. So if you are interested in getting your medical card, or if you know anyone who is, make sure to do that ASAP and send them over to Nikita from NP Medical Cannabis. And all the way from Arizona, we have Tyler from Hyper. There he is. Tyler from Hyper. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh, for putting this together. Hyper is a technology provider for banks and credit unions. We've been in this industry for about 6 years. Many of the institutions serving this market throughout the country use us to do it. Traditionally, our payment products have only been offered to clients of those banks and credit unions. I'm here to announce that we are officially launching our payment products nationwide. So you'll start to see it roll out at many of the dispensaries here in New York and nationwide with many of the multi-state operators. The product can be used for CBD. It can be used for cannabis purchases. We also have a business-to-business product that is also launching nationwide. So you can find us at the booth back there. We can get your information and get you guys set up whatever you need.
Thank you. So 2 things about Tyler that he didn't share. One, former New York Met. So good job on that. Number 2 is Hyper is sort of like a name that you hear in the cannabis industry circles, and very, very, very well respected. So when it comes to banking and finance, they're consistently sort of regarded as, without even necessarily knowing what you guys do, like the experts, like that they know what's up. So now that we all finally know what they're up to, I'm actually probably going to talk to you and open an account myself for something that we're working on. So if you're interested in the banking and the financing and the transaction side, which is probably the most important problem facing the cannabis industry, be sure to talk to Tyler from Hyper.
As a service to the industry for the last 6 years, anytime somebody calls us and needs a bank or credit union that will bank them in their market, we've always referred them to an institution that will bank them free of charge. We have some clients that are banking CBD nationwide as well. So if you guys need that, get a card. Happy to help.
Thanks, man. So yes, Tyler is in New York, but only for tonight, I think. So, and tomorrow, but he's probably busy tomorrow. So if you want to talk to him, if you want to solve all your finance problems, talk to him ASAP here. So thank you for coming out. Cannaplanners, Will, where art thou? There he is, all the way in the back. All the way from Vermont. Thank you to all you sponsors for traveling so far. Testament to the New York opportunity and to you all.
I hit every raindrop on the way here. Special thanks to Josh and the CannaGather team for having us. This is my second CannaGather. I came last year. It was fantastic. I made a lot of relationships that year. It was great. So thanks. Cannaplanners is a company I founded about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago at this point. Fundamentally, we're a tech company. We have a web platform specifically that I'm marketing. Where's that dude there he is. You called me out. We market specifically to the cannabis industry. All of our clients deal with the plant in some capacity. We also do creative design, branding, packaging design, all compliant. We're probably the only cannabis-focused web agency that has a payment gateway that works. So yeah, again, thanks, Josh.
Thank you. All your website and design marketing needs, Cannaplanners. So there's some news. Definitely something that is not left on here, but should be mentioned. As some of you may know, Doug Green, who was probably the #1 champion of cannabis legalization in New York State, especially since Dana has started on his Ibogaine quest. Doug was the #1 champion for cannabis in New York State. Unfortunately, passed away about a week and a half ago. Tragic accident, it sounds like, and definitely sad. And I guess I've sort of blocked it out. But yeah, Doug would come up and help out with the news earlier this year because he was the expert when it came to New York State legalization status and statutes and all the things. So definitely missing Doug and definitely want to recognize him. I believe that there will be a memorial coming soon. We'll be sure to share. I believe it'll be next Monday, but working on a venue and some of the logistics. And that's all going to be organized by Empire State Normal. So rest in peace, Doug. And then, I think his passing has definitely motivated me personally to be much more civically engaged because Doug was such a huge wealth of knowledge that the gap that he has created is sort of unfillable. So I've been spending a lot of time in Albany. In terms of what's going on, I've basically, right this second, I think like the best thing to do is really is just got a funny quote from a journalist who's writing about this. Is I just keep checking the New York Senate .gov website and looking to see what is the status of the bill itself. So for context, there was what's called an A-print, the first version of the bill, the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, which would have a strong equity component, specified delineation of appropriation for youth education and public health awareness, substance abuse, and funds that would go towards communities that have been affected adversely by the war on drugs. So that is the MRTA that is sort of being pushed for. There was an A print as mentioned. Then there was a B print that had that appropriation specified. And now that's probably at around, let's say, 29 to 31 votes yes in favor. What the significance of that is that you need 32 to get a bill passed in the Senate. So basically where we're holding right now is somewhere between 29 in a downside scenario, but much more likely a 31. With a C print, the theory is that we could get to 33. Why? Because certain senators have expressed specific concerns and things that they'd like to see addressed by amendments. And so basically what we're waiting for is the C print to come out, for the senators to read it and be like, okay, I'm cool with this, I like this, let's do it. So for anyone that said that, the cannabis bill is dead, they like definitely don't know what they're talking about. So yes, it was never dead. If anything, the problem was sort of on the other side. Just no one really cared that much about it to take time to think about it. So when people say things like the votes aren't there, they're sort of trying to imply, either intentionally or unintentionally, that it means that they're opposed to it. But in many cases, it's actually just that the votes aren't there yet. So are we going to get there? I'm not sure, but it's never been dead. It's not dead. We're sort of waiting for the newest round of the bill to come out, the C print. Why it hasn't come out already? Many people are very confused. I'm especially confused because I'm not really part of the process, but even people who are part of the process are confused. So basically that's where we're at. We're waiting for a new version of the bill to come out. Different senators who are sort of on the fence are going to evaluate how their concerns have been addressed by that C print. And then from there we'll know, are we at 29, are we at 31, or are we at 33 or 32? All we need is 32. And then it could happen. There's been a lot of concern because the legislative session ends tomorrow. But that's what the schedule says, and it doesn't look like they'll actually end tomorrow. In terms of how all of this stuff works, I have no idea. I went to Albany in middle school, and then went to Albany again for the first time since then, 2 months ago. So I'm learning myself. But that's sort of the context, if that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions about that? I know that's a hot topic and potentially confusing. Question in the back, Gil. The legislative session? Yeah, so there's a couple things at play. So it's scheduled, the session is scheduled to end tomorrow, but that's not like a rule. They could go on and on and on. What was that? Governor could do what's called sort of like a necessary measure where he expedites the process. For clarification, by the way, it takes 3 days for the bill to age. So they basically need to come out with the C print and then wait the process for then vote on it, which is why there's been some consult to age. So they basically need to come out with the C print and then wait 72 hours and then vote on it, which is why there's been some concern about what's going on. But there are some cases apparently, I've never dealt with this before, where things get extended or people get called back. So basically, we're just sort of in a holding pattern for the C print. And I can give you different senators' concerns and stuff, but at this point, I think that the only thing that matters is let's hope that the CPRINT comes out. And in the meantime, definitely call your state senators, call Long Island in particular, call Senator Prasad, call Senator Tobian Savitsky, and let your voices be heard. Question. Question is, what about the House side? So there's 3 chambers of government in New York State. There's the executive, which is Andrew Cuomo, the governor. There's the state Senate, and then there's the Assembly. The Assembly is looking pretty good. So the holdup is going to be on the Senate side. Good question. Any more questions about Albany? Cool. There's 2 rallies tomorrow. One is outside of the governor's office at noon, I believe. And then if you're interested in coming to Albany, I just got back from Albany. My bus got in at 5 p.m. And I'll probably be going out at 6:30 tomorrow. So if you want to join me, I'll see you in Albany. It'll be fun, and you'll get a free ticket to the next CannaGather. So probably not worth it for people who are on the fence, but just throwing that out there. Albany's not as far as I thought. It's less than 3 hours. It's about 2 hours, 40 minutes on a good day. So other sponsors, Wilson Elser, leading law firm, international law firm, offices all across the country, get involved in the cannabis world. So thank you, Wilson Elser. PKF O'Connor Davies, accountants. If you're looking for some accounting help, I should say, PKF O'Connor Davies. And likewise, MGO and Ello, they're actually our accountants, MGOs are accountants, and they also do a wide array of different services, including strategic and advisory work on the Ello side, so MGO on the accounting side as well. So great service providers in this room, and definitely lean on them for advice. It's, as I can attest, even though I've sort of been in the entrepreneurial world before, even doing it the second time without doing it with the right service providers, it makes your life a lot harder. And then last but not least, we have BDS Analytics, leading data provider. Some of you may have seen Roy Bingham's talk, December 2017 at CannaGather. He walked through a 70-slide deck, and people loved it. Terrified me when he gave me the deck. I was like, wow, we're going to be here forever. But we stayed like an extra hour, and people were loving it, whipping out their phones. BDS, amazing platform for anything data related, particularly for what's going on in the dispensaries on the West Coast. Splash is our ticketing platform. Tress Capital, if you need money or help to get your business off the ground, talk to David Hess and Tress. Cuddy and Feeder, Andrew. Did a lot of calling in Westchester, law firm, by the way. Did a lot of calling in Westchester, so thank you for that. Westchester's looking pretty good on the Senate side, but Long Island, not so much. So if you know anyone in Long Island, tell them to call their senators. Herba Verde Group, got you right there. Thanks for coming on board. Building out a exciting CBD platform in North Carolina, yeah, definitely chat with them more if you're interested in that. And Jenny from Jenny's Baked at Home, who's sitting right there, but is now standing over there. So thank you, Jenny. And thank you for the olive oil. Quick heads up, as some of you may know, CannaGather operates beyond just New York now. We're in about 9 cities, soon to be 15. If you go to CannaGather.com and check out the upcoming events, you'll be able to see what we're up to around the country. We have Colorado is happening right now. Or actually, I guess they're 2 hours behind, so they're happening in 2 hours with Joe Hodis. DC, Urban Cannabis Cultivation, CannaGather LA, the Female Plant Part 2, leading cannabis industry executive, that's in Santa Monica, and Philly. We're going to have a state senator speaking about what's going on with Philly. And then last but not least, some of them got cut off, but social equity and social justice will be the topic of the day on July 16th. So some of you may know ConBody. So Koss and I connected when I was volunteering with Defy Ventures. Defy works with incarcerated or formerly incarcerated individuals and helps them become entrepreneurs. Koss is basically far and away biggest success out of all of them and is the sort of the poster child. He was a multi-million-dollar cannabis trafficker, and unsurprisingly was arrested. Subsequently, spent 7 years in jail, lost about 100 pounds, I believe, and he turned his system for losing weight into what's called ConBody, which is now a gym franchise of sorts. Not exactly a franchise, it's just a gym that's sort of taking the world by storm. I think they're in Saks Fifth Avenue. It's basically workouts that you can do in a jail cell. So Koss will be joining us, and very excited about that. And in addition, we're very honored to have New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. Very excited to have either of them, let alone both of them. So July 16th, 2019, right here, is going to be a pretty epic event. And without further ado, Jim Walesa from AIU Longevity. Nice pants.
Thank you.
Here you go. Use this just in case.
I might be in the wrong place. The reason I say that is because he's going to ask me how did I ever get involved in the cannabis business, right?
How did you know?
Because I've watched your videos before.
And I told him before this.
I'm in the healthcare business for people over 50. And I attended a conference put on by ArcView. I don't know if Gene's here.
Yeah, Gene's over there.
Hello, how are you? And I had a chance to really learn a whole lot more through your fantastic conference. Both the education as well as the opportunity to see what goes on in this space was fantastic. We come back from a background of, I'm a financial guy. And one of my long-term clients and investors is here, Linda. There she is. She lives here in New York. And we started a care business because demographics were going our way. Every day, 10,000 people turn 65. Will happen for the next 10 years. And as they age, they're going to need more care. Because I didn't believe it. When I was like 30, and somebody said, hey, when you turn 50, everything goes downhill. Guess what? It's true.
Can everyone hear in the back, by the way? You guys hear? This one? Again? Every time. Do you
Damn
know
speakers. Come on, Josh.
I'll
try this one. All right, how's that better? All right, good. So anyway, as it all does start to fall apart. Thank you. I just got to do this. Okay. It does start to fall apart. So we saw an opportunity to do something different to provide care for people who had dementia, specifically dementia. And we've got facilities throughout the Southeast and Southwest. And we've put this all into a private company that's eventually going to go public later this year. And as I attended ArcView, and one of my directors is here, Alan, please, there you go. Alan lives here in New York. And I called him up last fall before going to ArcView, Gene. I said, what is your impression going to be of me if I go and do this? And what he said, and Alan has operated hospitals here in New York, Bellevue, and Chicago, Sinai Hospital. Alan said, you're crazy if you don't do it. Because in the next I move around, is that cool? In the next 3 to 5 years, the world is going to change. It already has. The fact that we're even having these conversations, the fact that tomorrow there's a big vote here, right? You know, we heard you all talking about it. We don't know which way it goes, but we cross our fingers. So the point being is that so many things have shifted, and if I don't do this, we're crazy. And I went to ArcView. And I love your presentation because more than a third of it is science, education. It's not just companies pitching, though I did enjoy the pitches because I'm a financial guy. And in all those pitches, there were 30 companies at least, not counting your presentation, and I must have counted 600 decks, 600 pages of decks. Decks is the fancy word for pictures, PowerPoints, all that stuff. Only one slide talked about the over 50 market. And that side said, it is the largest market around. Good or bad, there's 110 million people like me, and they control 28 times the wealth of the next generation down. And nobody is really addressing it. I do not touch the plant. Let's make this really clear. I'm a care company, but I'm preparing to. All right. We plan to list later this year on a U.S. exchange, very different than what's happened before. And I can do that because I don't touch the plant. But I'm putting together a network of care. Care in our facility, care in your home, or care on a day basis. Nobody's touching this place. And we're very proud to do that because one thing that's happening, Josh asked me, hey, are there any questions you want me to ask? And I wrote them down, but I forgot to give it to him. So one of the questions is what's the demand for care? If 10,000 people are turning 65 every day, what's the demand? Well, here's the catch. Do you realize this started 10 years ago when the first baby boomer first started to turn? So we have 10,000 turning 65 every day in the United States, but it's been happening for 10 years. The demand for caregiving is growing ridiculously. If you just need general care, your demand is up 60%. If you have dementia, your demand for a dementia-trained caregiver is 160%. And only 14% is coming into the market. It's a tough job. It really is. And what we want to try to do is provide better access to care, not just things that you're used to. I grew up in this generation that if you build a beautiful piece of real estate, Gene, and it's a beautiful building, they'll come. Guess what? If anybody here has ever had a problem with their aunt, their grandma, and you're going, I don't know if we can keep them at home. Does anybody here want to have that conversation with their parent? Look at Gene, she's going, hell no, right? Okay. So you have all of these real estate people, if any of you are here, I apologize, who put these big, beautiful buildings up and hope they come. And guess what? They're not. They're not. And therein lies the issue. How do you solve this? More demand for care, more people who need care, but nobody's delivering it where they want, how they want. So well before I met Gene, we were going to start doing adult daycare and home care. But then when I was over at, and this isn't meant to be a total plug of ArcView, by the way, but when I was there, okay.
Don't worry.
Right. Are you going to get me a piece of pizza at the end?
I'm gonna invoice them later.
All right. So, but what I did get there is how much there is for people to learn. But the problem is most of that big market doesn't know how to dose, doesn't know what's going on. And they need help. They need somebody who's going to show them how to do it. So one of the things that we're doing is developing a program we'll call Technician of Care, where our people, whether you're being treated in one of our facilities as a home care or even through our adult daycare, will be able to show you where appropriate, when appropriate, how you might want to use what I will call modern innovative care. Go home with this term. You all know who Bruce Linton is, right? He was here. Was he not great? Okay. I happened to be at Cowen's conference 3 weeks ago. And anybody go to Canada, Toronto, hang out, listen to investment stuff? I know you do, okay? Great place. You walk out, the thing's over, and they're giving you Canadian Club and ginger beer to walk out the door. It was fantastic. I grabbed one of those, I turn around, and there's Bruce Linton, the rock star of this industry. And he had just had a great lunch sponsor. And I said, fantastic, thank you. And he is everything everybody says. He positions things correctly. He speaks correctly. Within 30 seconds, he goes, what's your business? And I tell him, well, we do traditional care, memory care, that kind of stuff. But we're moving into alternative care. That's the term the world uses. He goes, nah, don't use that. I go, okay, what should I use? He goes, anything that people have been doing more than 5 years, call it historical care. Because who wants to be cared for historically, right? Right? Nobody. Anything you're doing now that's different, call it modern or innovative. So I said, Bruce, could I copy you? He goes, yeah, modern innovative care. So that's what we do, modern innovative care. So how I got into it was because of Alan saying, if you don't do it, you're crazy. So we're putting together a network right now that's designed to provide care in all of the historical ways. But as states allow, and they're getting closer. We have facilities in Texas, and believe it or not, I'm figuring out a way to do it there. As this happens, we want to be prepared. And we can because none of the products or services we offer touch the plant. So I'm not Schedule 1. I don't got those problems. So it's real interesting where our future goes. You have other questions, right?
Yeah. What did you do before this? Like, how did you get into this whole world?
I have been a financial advisor for 1982. Worked for a Wall Street firm. I was in Chicago, and I moved up quickly and moved to San Francisco, spent 5 years there, the coldest 5 years of my life. If anybody's from there, oh yeah, my coldest experience, and this has nothing to do with this, a Giants game at Candlestick in July. I had a hat on, gloves, and a winter coat. It was ridiculous, even though I grew up in Chicago. So I then came back and we started an advisory business, and you didn't even know, but that was a great question. Because really how I first got involved in the cannabis space, here in New York, there's a broker-dealer called Ladenburg Thalmann, okay? And Ladenburg Thalmann was a real adventurous group who underwrote the first cannabis offering that, Linda, you were part of, called Innovative Properties Trust, IIPR. We've all heard of them, right? IIPR, we were the only firm on Wall Street to underwrite it. My office in little old Chicago was the biggest producer. So we put a ton of money in there, and boy, did I look stupid.
That worked out well in the long term.
Long term. But that first year, Linda goes, Jim, are you sure we did the right thing? Because the $20 stock went to 14. Remember, Jeff Sessions became Attorney General. Boo, right? And I didn't look very smart. But fortunately, Linda and many others like her didn't give up. And today, it closed at 119 or
It's a lot more than...
It's a lot more. So I look pretty smart. So my people, when I told them where we're trying to go with it, Linda was very happy when you broke the news that what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. So I think it's, as a financial advisor, you're crazy not to be looking at that space. There's a lot of very interesting companies. We manage portfolios for people, still do. I'm not out of that yet. But I'm chairman of AIU, and I will be moving on to a different direction over the next few years and trying to build this company into something that people will look at and go, wow, that changed the world a little bit. So that's the goal there.
I think one of the interesting things about being in the sort of cannabis industry and the sort of cannabis world is that idea of changing the world. You're sort of educating, you're seeing the vision because, you know, show of hands, who here thinks that cannabis is going to be a long-term viable, you know, solution?
I hope so.
For
Everybody's hands better go up. Come on.
But a lot of people outside of this room don't necessarily think that. So there's this conversation. Like IIPR, I remember, is like a lot of people were like, it's a real estate company, but for cannabis. That doesn't make sense. And then the stock went from 20 to 14 or whatever it was.
And we're a healthcare company looking at cannabis.
Targeting, you know, folks who are, you know, let's say 65 years old and up. And so that's a big change the world aspect, and that she started taking cannabis, and she didn't outright think it was crazy like she used to. But are you seeing a shift in her perspective, or is there still a lot of it? Outright think it was crazy like she used to. But are you seeing a shift in her perspective?
It actually shows what cannabis has done in a facility in Illinois for people. And if you see that, it's pretty amazing what you've done for their lifestyle.
What type of facility?
It would be an overnight stay type of nursing home. And surprisingly, I split time between Illinois and Texas. Illinois is a medically approved state. Well, this is the only facility that would do it.
Now it's adult use.
Yes, it
through
is.
the legislature.
Yes, it is.
So New York can do it too.
Boom.
Hopefully.
So the question you say is why? This is where I have an edge. Everything we do is private pay. I could do this. In fact, I got into a little scuffle with a group over this because I felt it was important we'd be able to offer this in our facilities. Where it's approved, I want to try to be one of the first ones doing it. Not because we're going to make a boatload of money. I think it's because you could attract a whole different type of people, and you'll probably fill up your places. But I'd like to just talk a little bit about CBD, okay? Because that's where we're going to start. Because this is something I can do immediately as soon as possible in the way I see the world. So one of our people is a continuing ed person for the state and likes to talk about the role of CBD in cannabis, which, again, in a a state that's pretty conservative, that's unusual. And I saw a video of what CBD did for people who, again, are suffering from diseases of age. And within 6 weeks, she went from not recognizing her visitors to getting up and having a conversation with them. So there's a lot of things that can happen, but a lot of it starts in a room like this, and a lot of it starts in a room like what you guys have. One of the things about ArcView that happens is that they talk about not just having a product, but having a good product, having a process. Because this can't be a situation where a product is not good. A product, statistically, particularly CBD, doesn't work for everybody. We know that. But if you can cut back the stuff that's not good, that you know it's not going to work, because I think the catch, and I heard this at the ArcView conference, is, you know, if a consumer buys something once and it doesn't work, they might try it a second time, maybe a third time, but probably not more than that. So it's really important as an industry, and I know many of you are here as an industry, that we have good products. It's very important. But the world is changing in these facilities. I'm pretty confident, because I asked my staff in that facility, if we ask 10 families, you got to have a doctor's approval, not a prescription, but a doctor's approval, put it in their file that you can use CBD. If we had 10 families, I believe that we would have that, and we would have people really, really happy with the result. And then I think of the 64 beds that I have in that facility, I bet 75 or 80% of them by the end of the year, people will be using it. Personal story, one of our lead people was diagnosed with a very nasty disease, and it was a struggle. There was chemo, radiation involved, and she was afraid to tell me. I don't know why, but she ended up using some CBD, and she told me the only reason I'm still here and the reason I'm working is because of that. She didn't replace the chemo and radiation. She used CBD alongside it, so she could sleep, so the pain and anxiety was down. So when you really think about that, and by the way, this woman is married to an ex-DEA agent, okay? So she didn't even tell him right away what she was doing. And in fact, I asked her, I go, did you talk to him? She goes, well, after a while, after I knew it was working. But, you know, she'll tell you within days she could fall asleep and the pain had gone away. And she could finish her therapy. You know, she's beat that problem. And it's really exciting to see. And so I asked her, I go, what could we do in our facilities with this? And she goes, it would be so much better for people. Now, again, remember, I run currently dementia facilities, which is for people who've had Alzheimer's usually for years. So you're not getting people at their early stage, you're getting people at their later stage. So anything you can do, there is no cure. Make it clear here. I'm not saying it's a cure. It just makes lives better. So it's more palatable. And if it's better for the resident, guess who it's better for? The family members. Because that's the hard part, seeing what happens to your loved ones. And again, it's not a cure-all, but we've seen, from what we could tell, significant acceptance by families, to your question, Josh, and they seem to appreciate what it can do. And, you know, we have a doctor I work with in Chicago. He likes to say this. It says, what's new is old. Because he'll make a statement that it's not just cannabis. There's a lot of plant-based things out there that we just take for granted. You know, because we all know that there's a certain industry that likes to make synthetic things so they can protect their patents, right? Okay? And you can't do that with a plant, can you? So it's going to be real interesting where things go over the next few years. And by the way, I don't think it's a replacement of that industry. It's just addition to. Another arrow in the quiver to make your lives better as we age. Josh?
Monsanto's done a good job of trying to patent plants, unfortunately. But do we got any questions for Jim? We got a question right there.
I've worked a little bit with caregiving at HIP, Health Insurance Fund in New York.
Okay.
And there was a fellow that was giving presentations on caregiving. Now, what people don't know is that the majority of caregivers are family and friends.
Yes, completely true.
Some people, the only time they see a medical facility or a caregiving facility is when they take whoever they're taking care of to the professionals. The rest of the time, they're changing dressings, they're giving hypodermics, they're changing bags,
Yes, sir.
colostomy bags, all of this. And even with my mother when she was on palliative care, we were administering her meds.
Yep.
My sister and I were the nurses.
That's the
When they
hidden
weren't
cost.
That-
Yes.
But so do you have any way of reaching those people?
That is the whole idea. Thank you. One of the things that gets lost, and it's coming out more. I actually had a couple articles thank you. You're bringing up a very important point. And it's not just this gentleman. I've seen it in my Chicago Tribune and Barron's. The hidden cost of caregiving. It's in the billions, tens of billions, because people stop working. They got to go take care of somebody. Okay? And that's hard. And it can happen for a year or two. How long did you take care of your mom? Okay, a few months.
But people that lose their job.
Yes. No question. And that's part of where, another issue out there, and I'm not here to bring in politics, but a lot of caregivers were coming in as legal immigrants. And prior to an administration currently in force, we had about 2.5 million legal immigrants coming in. Now it's down to 1.2 million. And a lot of them start as caregivers. And with that, that's going to just take that problem I told you and multiply it. What we're trying to do is, as many places, try to bring caregivers in education. Makes it a little bit easier. When you had to go through it, you probably had no resources of significance that you could say, okay, how do I do this? Where do I go? You did have one?
Yeah, there was an organization and the nurses would come and
Fantastic.
and it was volunteer.
Yeah.
The nurses volunteered.
If you can get some extra help, you have to, no question. But that's a great point. Anything else here? Yeah. Go ahead. I'll be right there. Yeah.
How are you making sure that you're looking into what drug interactions and really complex issues that go along with
Question is, how are you looking into drug interactions and?
making sure that you're providing, it's a very
No question it is. Yes, isn't it? The closest
risk mitigation for patients.
The closest thing, the closest answer I have to you is the product that we're looking to put out. Is it going through studies at UCLA and how things interact? I can't do it willy-nilly. It can't be, hey, I'm bringing in whatever I want, because then, to your point, you have problems. So our small world is to try to control the product being used inside, at least where we provide it. Pardon me? Yes, that's what I'm speaking to.
Question was hemp-based product?
I don't touch the plant. Okay, just make sure everybody understands that. So yeah, hemp-based. Yeah, we're going to try to control it in that fashion for our place. And in fact, that's one of the goals we have, is to roll out a product that people in those facilities would know what they're getting. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what's going on for me right now. That's what, when this thing got to have real traction with us, be right with you. When this thing got real traction with us, that's what we started to look at, is how do we mitigate risk? How do we make sure, again, it goes to quality product, like I heard from you guys over there. So we're beginning, and people go, well, why didn't you do this sooner? I couldn't. Until the Farm Bill passed in December, I couldn't do any of this. It was a good thought, but I couldn't for what I was trying to do. I'll be right back to you. Somebody here had one. We have 5 facilities in pardon me? No, don't use that term. Now, there's a lot of different types of care now, okay? Okay, so there you go. No, we're just dementia, just memory care. Just memory care. That's all we do. 4 states: Texas, Arkansas, Florida, and South Carolina. So we're not here. We are trying to. Our footprint.
What was that?
Are we expanding? We're trying to. We're going to try to roll out a bit quicker footprint going forward. Well, I'm not here to present a memory care presentation, but I'll happy to.
Question was, how is AIU longevity different?
Well, first of all, nobody else is in this space is even talking about what I'm talking about. But beyond that, I would say this is and everybody in my business will tell you they offer great care. They will all say that. The only way I can back it up is we serve 1,000 families every year, have done this for a number of years, have never had a substantiated complaint, which is pretty amazing if you've been around this space. So we really work hard on our care side. There's no question we're not cheap. You know, we go in that $5,000 to $6,000 a month range. Now here in New York, that's cheap. Okay, in Chicago, that's cheap. But in the markets we're in that $5,000 to $6,000 a month range. You've been patient.
You're doing cannabis for Alzheimer's. What are you doing for Parkinson's?
Okay.
Question was, what are you doing for Parkinson's if you're doing cannabis for Alzheimer's?
I'm not doing cannabis for either right now. Okay, we can't. Okay, that's true. That's true. It would work there too. There's no. I'm not a doctor, and I didn't stay at Holiday Inn last night, but we would certainly look to that. Our facilities are dementia oriented at this moment, though. So I don't have an answer that I can feel comfortable. Question.
Yeah. So you mentioned the sentiment about cannabis has changed a lot.
Yes.
In the past years. I imagine a lot of your prospective customers or people that you're going to give care to are going to be part of the older generation.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
are you guys doing anything like maybe the education?
Totally. Yes. That you are right on.
Question
that is
was,
the key.
given that your target customer base is largely the older generation, what type of education are you doing to, with them on cannabis?
That is totally the answer. As I've gone around and talked about what we're doing to folks, education's got to be part of it. And for all generations, not just them, because we come from a situation where there's a stigmatism, correct? There is. So you've got to overcome that stigmatism. But there's been stigmatisms on things for years before. I mean, guys, let's be real. Let's look at Uber. Most of you probably took something like that over here. Did you ever believe you'd be going into a stranger's car? Really? And just jumping in? And did you ever, for those of you who have ever driven, who the heck would be picking up strangers? There's things that have to change. And I just give that as a simple example. Airbnb. We talked about this. Josh was in Albany, stays at an Airbnb. Who would have figured they'd open up their home to strangers? But they do.
I'm very friendly, though.
Yeah, of course. But that's part of it. Not everybody is going to be open-minded. Yes. 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 And plants are the same way. Yes. Completely true. No. But you got to educate and get people to change, because we've had decades of certain ways of thinking. And now you have different ways of thinking. Totally true. Completely correct. Yes?
So can you just maybe talk a little bit more specific on what you're actually doing for these seniors, for the senior population, in terms of how you're actually making it feel better?
Yeah, what specific type of care are you providing to these folks in your care system?
Well, at this moment. At this exact moment, or the future, or both? Okay. Well, let's go with both. So in the facilities we have now, they've been built to suit just for people with dementia. There's therapies associated with them, hydrotherapy, activities. I mean, if you go into one of our places, you'll see an activity list that would make you go, holy cow. Everything, people are busy. We want our people busy. You don't want them sitting around. You want them in areas where they're together. You do not want people out without being with others. You don't want a person, first of all, I don't care how old you are, you don't want to be by yourself. But as you age, you certainly don't want to be by yourself. As we go forward, we're going into territory that I guess Star Trek would say where no others have gone. So our very much hope is, as an example, if you've had a family member who's ever experienced this issue, they can many times at the end of the day get very anxious. It's called Sundowners, okay? And it happens around 3 and goes till 6. It is a very challenging time in any facility you're in, because people who look meek and mild become superhero strong, because they got to go. First time I ever experienced it, I'm a 6'2", 192 pounds, and I was with a person who decided, I'm getting up from the table and I'm going to Ireland. By the way, he's in Chicago. And he's taking the bus to Ireland. And his wife goes, grab him. I'm trying to get him, and he ain't no way listening to me. So she calls up a couple neighbors, and 3 of us had to bring him back. So you get superhuman during these periods. So one of the ways that it's currently dealt with for those type of people is there are pharmaceutical solutions, as you might imagine. Surprise, surprise, surprise. And the pharmaceutical solution usually has something to do with rubbing something on the back of the neck or the back of the ear. And that shouldn't surprise you for those of you who know your CBD receptors, right? Where that's being rubbed. We're going to be trying to roll out something that instead of being pharmaceutical-based, it'll be what's old is new, plant-based. So we're trying to do things, because you've got to keep in mind, we're still a healthcare company, but we want to try to set up a network where people have choices. And that's just one example. Thank you for the question. Anybody else?
I think we got time for one more question.
Go ahead.
David.
Pardon me? Haha. I can't right now, but thank you.
Question was, can you get your patients medical cannabis cards?
I can't right now, but we are working on ways to do that. Where we can. That is a very interesting line of business to me. And again, keep in mind, 6, 7 months ago, I couldn't even have these conversations, let alone have it out here. But yes, we would love to be able to do that.
So are you going to be at the after party for additional questions? And
of course, and have some pizza and drinks. I've been working all day. And if you don't hear my voice, this is not my normal voice. I've been talking to a lot of people. Anybody in our booth? Okay, stand up, my technician and care leader. All right, that's Kristen.
Hi, Christy.
Show him, show him, show him. Show him, show him, show him. Demo. Okay, I got 150 of those.
Awesome.
I do not want to send many back to Chicago.
Free bags.
AIUlongevity.com. That's our website. Check it out. You'll hear all about the things we're doing. You can follow us there. I'll eventually be on this video, depending on how I look. If I look fat, forget it. But just kidding.
David, how's he look?
All right, thank you. Kristen will be back in our booth. Please come by, drop a business card, fill out something. You can follow what we're doing. We also have some sunglasses out there. I didn't know it was going to rain, but I always like to say, the future's so bright you need shades. Check us out, AIUlongevity.com.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Hey, there's one more person. Where's Daniel? Where's Daniel?
So,
Daniel, where are you, Daniel? You're not here. Did you guys love that post? That story he told.
it's a great blog post. Go to CannaGather.com/leaflet. Great blog post. And I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who went up to Albany or has been involved in the talks in Albany, like Chatad, Andrew for calling Westchester, Zach, Gil. Show of hands, who here has called their state senator and said that they should pass the MRTA? Woo! Great. Round of applause for everyone who has.
Yep.
I have been in touch with 16 different state senators' offices over the past 2 weeks, and I guarantee you, especially because I was surprised that those calls actually matter. Like, calling them, talking to them, I would have bet you that they couldn't care less. But after speaking with them extensively for the last 2 weeks, they actually matter. So please, that's the only reason why I'm stressing this. Please call if you know anyone in Long Island, anyone in Elmhurst or Flushing, anyone in East Brooklyn, Long Island especially. please tell them to call their state senator. And if you want to come to Albany, I'm going. It's kind of interesting, like it's an interesting anthropological experience. If you want to come, I'll be there. But anyway, July 16th is the next one. We have cost. We have the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, the one and only. We have free pizza across the street. I'm going to convince Gene Sullivan to come. And of course, Jim, Walesa, thank you again. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.